You didn't put 0. It's 17.
Ah, you're right. Thank you. I don't know how. Do you know how? Okay. Okay. Okay, now, there are two different ways that I can do my regression. The first way that they are showing you in here is to first do a scatter plot. This is a good idea, and it's a good thing to know, especially if you don't know what you have. Now, we know this is a quadratic because, number one, that's what unit we're on, and number two, it says at the top, quadratic regressions. But later on in the year, when you have learned linear, quadratic, exponential, rational, you need to look at it first to determine what it is. So that's why they gave us that. The first method is by first looking at a scatter plot. So after you have the data in, you're going to add a page. So to add a page, the control button, and then dock adds a page. So you hit control, dock, and it automatically adds a page. Now it asks you what kind of page you want to add. Well, we want to add a data and statistics page. We want to make a scatter plot with our data, so we hit 5. There's all your dots. Now, they're not in the right place because if you'll notice, you have no x and y axis. So you just have to go down to it and click to add the variable. When you click on it, it gives you your choices. Well, our x value was time, and our y value was height. And there it is. And we already graphed it by hand, so we could tell that it looked like a quadratic when we graphed it by hand. But if you don't have graph paper and anything to graph by hand, this is faster and easier than graphing by hand. So now I know for sure that this is a quadratic. So right here on this page, I can hit menu. So hit your menu button. 4 for analyze. And number 6 gives me all my regressions. Now, it gives me a whole bunch, which is why you need to know from looking at it which one it is, because your calculator doesn't. We're saying it's 4, it's quadratic, and when you put that in, there's the function that it gives you. Now, it tells you right here on this page to write in the function, but it says round to the nearest tenth. So when you write it in, you're going to write in negative 5.2x squared plus 36.0x plus 0.4 would be what you would write in. So go ahead and write that in. Now, this method is pretty helpful because you get to see it. It draws the line. Because did you notice before we did the regression, it was just the dots, just the scattered dots. Once you did the regression, it drew the line through the dots. So it is kind of helpful, but there's one thing it doesn't do. It doesn't store it in the graph, and you can't pull up a table. The other method you can. So let's look at the other method. We're going to add another page. So again, to add a page, it's control dock. This time, actually I lied. We're going to go back to our other page. So sorry, hit escape, that'll get you out of that. Hit control and the arrow button, the left arrow button, and then that'll switch your pages and go back to your spreadsheet. You can also, if you just want to use your touchpad, I don't like my little touchpad click pad because it's not as sensitive as I want it to be, but you can also get your arrow and just click on those and it'll go back and forth between the tabs. But I don't like the touchpad as much, so I hit control and arrow. Arrowing left and right will switch you between the pages. Okay, so I went back to my spreadsheet and now from here we're going to do a regression. So I hit menu. This time it's statistics. It is a stat calculation, so you hit that, and then they all pop up right there. So I'm going to do a quadratic regression. Now I have to tell it which value is my x value, because remember on the scatter plot we told it already, but this one we haven't told it. So I need to tell it my x values are time, my y values are height, and then notice right there it says save regression equation to F1. So this is going to put it into F1 of a graph so I can pull up a table. That's what I want from this. And then if you arrow down, you can see it's going to put my results in column C, because there's nothing in column C right now. I typed all my stuff in column A and column B. So I hit OK, and it pops up all your information right there in column C and D. In column C it tells me your A value is negative 5.20758, blah, blah, blah. Same stuff we got from the other thing. Your B value is 35.9965. Your C value is 0.371818. Same stuff that you got from the other one. So
Why does it come up with?
it gives you the same regression. It didn't?
No, it says RDSID.
Scrolling.
Yeah, scroll. I think you're too far down on your table. Keep scrolling.
It just says,
Let me see.
like, it goes A and then B.
Okay, the other thing is if you'll scroll down from here,
Uh-huh.
notice it gives you one more thing.
I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same.
It
It's just when I get to right there, it goes crazy.
Okay, if you'll scroll down from here, notice this R squared value. And it says 0.999857. That is a statistics calculation that tells you how accurate your regression is. The other thing won't tell us that either. This is important because if I didn't have quite as many data points as I just showed, and I wasn't sure if it was quadratic, I thought, it could be quadratic, but it might be logarithmic. When I put it in, that 9.999998, that indicates 99.9% accurate. That a quadratic regression is 99% accurate for this. If I had tried a logarithmic regression, it probably would have said 80 something, 0.8 something something. So that's an indicator to you that you're on the right track. Now in this case we know it's quadratic because we know that's what we're doing. But sometimes you won't know. And you'll look at it and go, well, it could be quadratic or it could be. The big mistake happens between these two. Let's see it go. The two that look like this. Y'all know what the difference is? What this one is? And what that one is?
That one is stupid, obviously.
But what are they?
I
If I did this one's quadratic, right? But if I do this, what is this one? Exponential.
Oh, I said that.
So you can't tell the difference. If you've just got a scatter plot, you might not know the difference. And so this R squared value is what will help you know that you're on the right track. If you get something less than 90%, chances are you picked the wrong regression. That didn't happen on the scatter plot page either. It only happened on this page. Okay, but the most important thing is we need to be able to pull up a table. So I added another page a minute ago by accident, but if you haven't added a page, you're going to add a page. And when you go to that page, it's going to ask you what kind of page you want to add. We want to add two. We want to add a graph so that I can get my table. Now notice when I hit graph, it automatically says F2. That's because remember we stored this in F1. So if you arrow up, your quadratic is already right there. Now the reason it's not graphed on the page yet is because the box isn't checked. So you just have to hit enter. And there it is. Now my table's not a very good table. I mean my window's not a very good window for this, so I'll have to adjust my window so it looks different. But that's your regression anyway. So now I can hit Control T if I need to and pull my table up, which I couldn't do with just the regression before. Okay? Alright, so now you can keep that sheet to take you through the steps and the two different ways to do it. Now we're actually going to do one.
I tried clicking the box and my mouse
don't like using the little mouse. It just doesn't seem to work very well. Okay, so we got this table now, and it says the following table gives us the cost of various cheese pizzas. Size in diameter in inches is 8, 10, and 12. Our cost is $253, $25, and $475. Yes. She was not here today. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's telling us that this is quadratic. So when we do this, if we do it in the table, our R2 should come out to be pretty accurate because this is telling us it's quadratic. So they want us to find the function. So we're going to plug it in our calculator just like we were doing. So we want a new page. The easiest way to get to a new page, not a new page inside this document, but a whole new document, is to hit your home key, go back to your home screen, and then just hit 1 again. It's going to ask me if I want to save all that stuff. You just say no. So we're starting all over again with a list in a spreadsheet. Alright, now, I've got all my data in, so I'm trying to figure out if I should go ahead and do the scatter plot option or the other option. And when I look down, it tells me that they want me to use my function and find a 16-inch pizza and also find the cost at $24.50. And that would come from my table. So, in order to get a table, I'm going to use the spreadsheet option where it stores it in F1. So I'm going to stay right here and hit Menu, 4 for statistics, 1 for stat calcs, and 6 for quadratic regression. My X value is size and my Y value is cost, because the cost of the pizza depends on the size. I'm having it store it in F1 again. It's going to put all my information in column C. You just hit OK. There it is. There's your information. So when they ask you for your representative function, go ahead and, again, you can round to 1 decimal, or actually, in this case, round to hundredths. So I'm going to put 0.09x squared. The reason I'm rounding to hundredths is because we've got cost, and that would be 2 decimal places. So let's round to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to do 0.09x squared minus 1.31x plus 7 is going to be, and look at your R. My R squared value is 1, which is 100%. This is 100% accurate. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to add a page. So Control Doc adds a page. I want this to be my graph page. And it automatically starts at F2, because if I arrow up F1, my quadratic is already there. Hit Enter so you can see the graph. Now, once I do that, I'm going to adjust my window, because we're talking about pizza diameter and cost, neither of which can be negative. So I'm going to hit Menu, 4 for window, window settings. Diameter of a pizza, I don't know, let's say, we'll say 40. Cost, I don't want to pay more than $20 for a pizza, so we'll see. There we go. That looks decent. Alright, now, I need, for the second question, it says use your representative function, what would be the price of a 16-inch pizza? Control T. X is my diameter, so 16-inch pizza, $10. Then for C, it says if a pizza costs $24.50, what would your predicted diameter be? Well, so I'm going to, cost is in my Y column, so I'm going to scroll my Y column for $24.50, and I have an issue. I go from $23.50 to $26.40, so it skips past $24.50. Now, we're not just going to guess, don't just pick something in between. We can get an exact answer. Take your table off, so Control T removes your table. Hit Tab, and type $24.50. Now hit Enter. Oh, my window's not big enough. Hold on. I have to adjust my window because my window only goes up to 20. I need it to go past 450. So let's see. I'll take my Y max to 30. So that'll be 20. There you go. Okay, so it drew in a horizontal line at $24.50. So this intersection right here will tell me exactly where it equals $24.50. So I'm going to hit Menu, Analyze Graph, Intersection. And there's your intersection right there. So at 22.4 inches, it costs $24.50. Everybody okay? Alright, so now let's try number 2. Now number 2, they did not give me, if I read, a rectangular pond is to be constructed in a park. The pond will be 5 feet by 7 feet, is surrounded by a sidewalk of X feet in width. The gardener is interested in the area of the pond and sidewalk will encompass. They did not give you data points this time. So this problem we're going to have to do a little differently. So, in this situation, what should I do first?
Probably.
What do you always do first in these kind of problems?
I'll draw.
Draw a picture. You need to sketch this so you know what you're talking about here. I got a rectangular pond. So I'm going to draw a pond. Oh, where did my draw go? I really like to draw it in. It's a pond. So. And it says that it's a 5 by 7 pond. And then it says it has it is surrounded by a sidewalk. So all the way around is a sidewalk. Because the word surrounded means all the way around. That is X feet in width. So that means from here to here is X. And from here to here is X. Here to here is X. Right? Because the sidewalk is uniform, it's X feet all the way around. Okay, so my gardener is interested in the total area. It says the area the pond and the sidewalk will encompass. How do you find area of a rectangle?
Length, 2 times the length plus 2 times.
That's perimeter.
Length times width.
Length times width. So area equals length times width. So he wants the total area. Now we could all, right now, just like this, find the area of just the pond. But he doesn't want the area of just the pond. He wants the whole thing. What's taken out of the whole thing? So he wants this times this. Now let me burst your bubble again after I already burst your bubble about the fact that we can take a negative square root. There is no distinction between length and width or length and width. It doesn't matter. I don't know where along the way somebody started teaching kids that one of them is one and not, it doesn't matter. I might call this length, you might call it width, it makes no difference. So, I'm not going to get hung up on it right now. What I am going to do is figure out, it says, I need an expression representing the length of the pond, and then I need one representing the width of the pond. So let's go this way first. I don't care whether you call that length or width, doesn't make any difference to me. I want to know how far is it from this side all the way across to this side. Can't be 7, right? Because 7 is just from here to here. So I'm going to go all the way. So I'm starting right here. And if I walk from right here to here to right here, how far have I walked?
6.
Okay. And then I walk from here. I'm going to swim. From here to here. 7. So I've now gone x 7. X what? 7. X plus 7. And then I go from here to here. And how far is that? So if I went all the way across, I've now gone
2x plus 7.
aha, 2x plus 7. Length, width, I don't care what it is, but you just did that. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going from top to bottom. So if I go all the way across, how far have we gone?
2x plus 5.
2x plus 5. One represents length, one represents width. Doesn't matter because we are going to multiply them, and that can be done in any order. 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 7 is going to equal your area. So A and B, those two answers are interchangeable. You're going to put 2x plus 7 for one, 2x plus 5 for the other. C, they want a representative function. What do I need to do to this?
You FOIL.
Distribute. FOIL or distribute. So yes, so I'm going to get 4x squared plus 24x plus 35 equals A. So that's my representative function for area. So that's C. Now, on E, it says for me to predict the value of the region if my sidewalk is 1 foot, 2 foot, or 3 foot. Well, remember, your sidewalk is X, and your area is Y. So I'm going to plug my representative function into my calculator and use my table. I mean, you could plug 1 in here and solve it, and 2 and 3, but let's just plug it into our table because I think that might be just a little bit faster. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. So I don't need this function anymore, so I'm going to hit the home key, hit 1 for a new document, hit no, I don't want to save all that, and I'm going to do not a list in a spreadsheet this time, but just a graph, because I have a representative function that I'm going to type in. There it is. That's not the part of it that I need because that's all the negative side. The positive side would be way over here. But I'm most concerned about the table. So I'm going to hit Control T because the first thing it asked me was the area when the sidewalk is 1 foot. The area would be 63. When the sidewalk is 2 feet, the area is 99. And when the sidewalk is 3 feet, the area is 143. Alright, so then for E, it asks what value of X will make the region have an area of 150?
Skip over.
Skips over it. So we're going to do the same thing we did a minute ago. Let's go in, draw a horizontal line at 150 and find the intersection. So I am definitely going to have to adjust my window because right now my y-axis is only going to 6.67. So I need it to go to at least 150. So I'm going to adjust my window. I'm going to go just from 0 to 10. A 10-foot sidewalk is pretty wide, so 10 is probably good. But my y-max, let's go to at least 200 since I need to see them. Alright, so now I'm going to hit Tab, 150 in, and now I just need to find that intersection point. Renew, analyze. 3.144 is right now the this is only set on 2 decimal places, but however many decimal places you have is fine. It is, it's pi. Then they said sketch it over a reasonable domain. This is a pretty reasonable domain. From 0 to 10 is fine for your domain. Alright, now G, the way they asked G is a little tricky. Don't let it confuse you. It says find the value of x rounded to the nearest 10th, which makes the sidewalk have an area approximately equal to the area of the pond. What's the area of the pond?
35.
35. So if the sidewalk is supposed to be equal to that, how much would the sidewalk be?
35.
35. So the total area should be 70. So on your table, you're looking for 70, or if you want to tab and put 70 in instead of 150, you could do that, because it's got to be the sidewalk. Sidewalk is 35 as well as the pond. So I got it says to the nearest 10th, so 1.2 would be the thing that would get us closest to the sidewalk and the pond having equal area. Okay, so I want you to finish this now. Some of them are going to be like number 1, where they give you a table. I mean, obviously you can see on the back they give you a table on this one. But if you look at number 3, it also gives you ordered pairs, which is the same thing as having a table. So sometimes they're going to give you a table and you can do a quadratic regression. Sometimes they're going to give you a function and you're going to have to come up with the regression. Real quick, just so in case you don't know, on number 3, it says write a representative quadratic function if it costs 28, 21, and 16 cents per kilometer to drive at 10, 20, and 30 respectively. When they say that, they mean they match up. The first thing listed in the first list matches up with the first thing listed in the second list. And then 2 matches up with 2 and 3 matches up with 3. When they use the word respectively, that's what they mean. Don't forget, it does matter what is your x and what is your y. How do you know which one's which? It's not always what's listed first. How do you know when something is x and when something is y? Independent and dependent. You have to think about it for just a minute and go, okay, what depends on what? So in this situation, on the one they're talking about here, does the cost of driving your car depend on how fast you drive? Yeah. Cost is dependent on speed, not the other way around. So just be careful when you enter your order pairs that you put them in the right way.
Dependent is x, right?
Dependent is x and independent is y.
So your cost would be your y and the speed would be your x.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's like stitches and everything, that's it. But it all turns brown and like you brush it off. Like, yeah, he burned it in.
borrowed this calculator.
Thank you. How'd it go?
I passed mine in the first 20, and Lane and Chad, they were like, "This is so easy, it's baby math." And then they failed it, and they had like 40-something more questions.
There's nothing in the freaking. I don't know. I was confused the whole time. One, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4. Let me see. And then we got hey. Did you ever have this overnight? There.
What'd you make in here? What's there? Oh, are you looking at it right now? For some reason, they update the plan thing at like 10 o'clock at night. So it'll show up. I don't know why it does that.
Okay.
I just did it today, and it only updates those like once a day or so.
I was on the verge of
Why didn't you do it on?
Did you finish that paper? From yesterday?
What? You just
I don't understand. Wayne!
This is a reminder, if you're on the attendance committee, we have a meeting in the conference room this afternoon. If you could please come at this time. Thank you.
Oh, I see, it's right there. Okay. Question, yeah. Do we have to have accents? Yeah. British? I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's good. Wow. Well, that's good. Well, I'm back at the school, and I got a few things I gotta do here before we head to the house, so. Yeah, backpack's at 6. No, no. No, I was. Yeah, we'll do it tonight at 6, and she's thinking Monday maybe at 5 if we can get some people to commit to being there at 5. So. All right, well, I'm hoping that, I'll be praying, and I'm hoping Keats has a good paper route also. I love you too. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, bye. Okay.
Alright, I'm just,
Set, shifting Tootsie into our other arm to make room for.
there was just a few things, I was able to get, most of the work on some of these, but these two were confusing me,
Okay, you're good this far. And then this is right. Okay, so you've got a group. So groups go on the outside and loners stay home. So it's going to be 2 square root 10 because the 10 stays underneath.
alright,
And then all of the outside pieces can be simplified by 2.
okay, so.
But the inside piece can't be because it's inside. So
Okay, so. So I'd be getting like 4 plus or minus 10 to the square root?
yeah, square root 10.
Okay. Alright, and number 4, I got that far.
Is that 196?
Yeah, is it supposed to be a negative 196 or?
It will be negative 196.
Okay.
Which means, now 196 is a perfect square, right?
Yes.
14?
Yeah.
So you can take the square root of 196, and you can also take the square root of negative 1. So it's going to end up being 14i.
Okay.
So you'll have, what is it, 2 plus or minus 14i. Now they're all outside pieces, and they're all divisible by 2.
Alright.
So it'll be 1 plus or minus 7i.
Over 2.
That's it.
Alright. And 7 and 8, like, I was just kind of confused on, like, mainly just how I'm starting them, because.
Okay, so don't forget, they don't write this part, so you need to write it. When they say it's a root, they mean x equals negative 2/3 I.
Alright.
And if x equals negative 2/3 I, x also equals
Positive.
positive 2/3 I. So then you have, so now you have your 2, now this is them written as roots, and you want to write them as factors. So take this and move it across, and you'll have x plus 2/3 I, and that one will become x minus 2/3 I.
Alright.
And then that's what you have to FOIL out.
Okay.
So x squared minus 2, see these are conjugates of each other. So you really only have to F and L, right? Because the 2 middle pieces are going to cancel. So x times x is x squared. And positive 2/3 times negative 2/3 is going to be negative 4/9 I squared.
Alright.
What's I squared?
Ice.
Look on the very first page.
1.
Negative.
Negative 1.
So that means I can take I squared out and put negative 1 in its spot, and that makes this x squared. Negative 4/9 times negative 1 would be positive 4/9.
Okay.
So that's your function, that's it.
Alright, so, and it's kind of the same thing for 8?
Exactly the same thing.
Alright.
Did it not work? It gave you more back. And it didn't give you a drink? Oh man, I'm sorry, I don't even drink water anymore. I have a little bit of tea, it's unsweet, if you want some.
It only takes dollars.
Oh, it does?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure it's taking dollars? Here.
Yeah, because it just says if you lose cash, just post a note. But it didn't take the quarters, and apparently it gave me more.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. See you tomorrow, Miss Bohannon.
for Fudge. You were little, like me? Yes, Grandma said, and I went to school just like you. Fudge shoved Tootsie out of the way, so Grandma passed her to me. What did you do there? Fudge asked. Oh, I sang songs and painted pictures and played games and learned to read. You learned to read in kindergarten? Maybe it was first grade, Grandma said, patting Fudge's head. It was a long time ago. It's hard for me to remember. You know what, Grandma? Fudge said. No, what? I am the middle child now, so I need lots of attention. Who told you that? Grandma asked. I heard Mommy talking on the phone. It's more important for you to play games with me than with Tootsie, and you should try to remember that. What about me? I asked. Where do I fit in? You don't need attention, Fudge said. You're in 6th grade. I was beginning to get annoyed. That doesn't mean I don't need attention. Everybody needs attention, Grandma said. Even you? Fudge asked. Yes, even me, Grandma told him. Who gives you attention? Fudge asked Grandma. My family and my friends, Grandma said. You should get a bird, Fudge said. A bird would give you lots of attention. A bird wouldn't care if you were the middle child or not. Neither would a dog, I said. You should get a dog, like Turtle. As soon as he heard his name, Turtle looked up and barked. Tootsie opened her eyes and said, "Kaka-kuka." That's right, I told her. Now go back to sleep. Grandma went upstairs to tuck Fudge into bed, and I went up to put Tootsie into her crib. Good night, sleep tight, Grandma said to Fudge. Good night, sleep tight, good night, Uncle Feather called. Grandma dropped the cover over his cage. It's the only way to shut him up, and even then he kept on calling, good night, until I kicked the base of his cage. After we'd had Uncle Feather for 2 weeks, Fudge was ready to bring him to school for show and tell. Miss Ziff invited the other kindergarten class to come and see him, and I got special permission from Mr. Green to skip half of English and go down to Fudge's room in case of an emergency. Mrs. Hildebrandt's kindergarten class marched in and sat in a circle on the floor, right behind Fudge's class. Uncle Feather's cage stood in the middle of the circle. When everyone was settled, Fudge pulled the cover off the cage and said, "Presenting Uncle Feather!" Ooh! All the little kids said. What a beautiful bird Farley has, Mrs. Hildebrandt said. Isn't he a beautiful bird, class? Yes, Mrs. Hildebrandt's class answered, sounding like robots. Yes, what? Mrs. Hildebrandt asked. Yes, Farley has a beautiful bird, her class said together. He speaks French, Fudge said. Does he really? Mrs. Hildebrandt asked. Yes, Fudge told her. Well, what a coincidence, Mrs. Hildebrandt said. So do I. She went right up to Uncle Feather's cage, bent way over, and said, "Parlez-vous français?" Uncle Feather cocked his head, looked straight at her, and said, "Bonjour, stupid." Chapter 8, Naturally Fortified. I want to be a ghost for Halloween, Fudge said. A scary, scary ghost. I think we can arrange that, Mom said. She was feeding Tootsie purple mush from a jar. Tootsie lets half of every spoonful ooze right back out of her mouth, so that Mom has to scrape it off her face and start all over again. It takes 3 tries to finish off 1 baby spoonful. Feeding Tootsie can be an all-day project. What about you, Peter? Mom asked. What do you want to be for Halloween? 6th graders don't wear costumes, I said. Really? Mom said. When I was in 6th grade, that was a long time ago, I said, interrupting her. 100 years or more? Fudge asked. Not quite, Mom told him. What's Tootsie going to be for Halloween? Fudge asked. A baby, I told him. Ha ha, Peter, Fudge said, laughing. You're funny. Every time Fudge laughs, Tootsie laughs too. And when she laughs with her mouth full, she really makes a mess. So now she had plums all over her face, plums drooling down onto her bin, plums stuck in her hair, and plums covering her rattle, which she banged on her tray as she laughed. Turtle hangs around when Mom is feeding Tootsie. He's developed a taste for baby food. Mom says it isn't exercise his
Write
teeth and
it on a piece of
jaws.
paper first to
And
make sure
once
it's
a week,
coming
I
out.
give him a special tablet to help his breath. Lately, he has the worst dog breath. I'm glad Sheila Tubman isn't around to tell me how bad my dog smells, because this time, she'd be right. Fudge says turtles should rinse twice a day with Precious Breath, this new blue mouthwash that's advertised on TV.
I'll stop that so you can concentrate for a second.
Can you spell Cosmo?
All right, moving forward. I'm afraid if I spell it out loud, I'll spell it wrong.
But I was thinking, right? That's how I was gonna spell it. That's a funny thing to say. It looks green on this.
It does a little bit. When it dries, it looks a little more gold. Good job.
When we hit Cosmo, we went to the mine. It looked like a great place to stop. Then we went to the chocolate factory. We got 3 salmon. Then we hit the waves at the beach. Love it.
Good job. Okay. This is
Advertised on TV. Fudge is very big on
We'll let that
commercials.
dry for a second. We'll do the other
He's
side.
memorized all of them. And when we go to the supermarket, he drives us up the wall, reciting his dumb jingles about why we should buy this product instead of that one. My father spends his mornings at the university library and works at home in the afternoons. How's the book coming? I asked him one day when I got home from school. Slowly, Peter, he said. Very slowly. I'm still gathering information. I hope to finish my want to research by Christmas and start the actual writing after the holidays. Fudge stood in the doorway nibbling a piece of cheese. Dr. Seuss can write a book in an hour, he said. How do you know that? I asked. I don't, but I'll bet you he can, Fudge said. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do. I like them, Sam, I am. Okay, that's enough, I said. Boys, I'm trying to work now, Dad said. Do you think you could move to another room? Later, we were watching the 6 o'clock news when Fudge's favorite commercial came on the air. Oh, look, he said, it's my dancing cats. And he put down his Lego bricks and watched. Everybody knows that cats can't really dance, I told him. It's just a lot of fancy camera work. Shut up, Peter, he said. Then he turned to Dad. They have cat food commercials, dog food commercials, and people food commercials. So how come they don't have bird food commercials? That's a good question, Fudge, Dad said without really answering it. Minor birds of the world unite, I began, trying to think up a clever commercial for bird food. What's unite? Fudge asked. Never mind. You sound like Uncle Feather when you say things twice, Fudge said. It's contagious, I told him. What's contagious? Forget it, I said. We should feed Uncle Feather Choco, Fudge said. If you give it to the one you love first thing in the morning, you don't have to worry the rest of the day. It has 45 vitamins. No, I said. That's not it. It's fortified with vitamins. That's what I said. 45 vitamins. Not 45, I told him. Fortified. And I spelled it for him. Fortified. It means that vitamins have been added. It does? Fudge asked. Yes, I said. And anyway, you shouldn't believe everything you see on TV. Right, Dad? That's right, Dad said. You lie when you make up commercials? Fudge asked. No, but we sometimes exaggerate, Dad said. What's exaggerate? Fudge asked. We embellish to make our point, Dad said. What's embellish? Sometimes Dad has to stretch the truth, I explained. Thank you, Peter, Dad said. That's a very good way of putting it. How do you know so much, Peter? Partly because I'm in 6th grade, and partly because I'm naturally smart, I answered. Then how come you got a 58 on your geography test? Fudge asked. Because Mr. Wagner tricked us with matching questions. What's matching questions? It's what teachers do to you to prove you aren't as smart as you think, I said. You'll find out someday. But I am as smart as I think, Fudge said. So there. I wasn't about to get into an argument over that one. On Friday afternoon, Alex and I were downtown. We stopped off at the movie theater to have a look at the display of Superman photos. I had already seen Superman in New York, but Alex had missed it. So we decided that when it comes to town, we'll try to go and see it together. Next to the movie theater was an art gallery. There was something familiar about one of the paintings in the window. It was all white, with 2 black circles in the middle and a red square in the upper left-hand corner. I know that painting, I said to Alex. It doesn't look like much to know, Alex said. I snapped my fingers. That's a Frank Fargo painting. Alex shrugged. Who's Frank Fargo? My friend's father. I was over when he was working on it, I said. Let's go in. The only other person in the gallery was a very tall, skinny woman with a neck like a giraffe's and more curly hair than I'd ever seen. She was really good looking. I liked the way she walked with her head high and her back straight. Hello, what can I do for you? She asked us. We were wondering about that painting in the window, I said. The white one with the circles. It's called Anita's Anger, she said, and it's by Frank Fargo. I told you, I said to Alex, who didn't seem that interested. I know him, I said to Giraffe Neck. He's my friend's father. Really? She asked. Yes. How much does it cost? Alex asked. $2,500, she told him. What? Alex said. For that? Yes, he's becoming quite famous.
Instead of
But it's nothing, Alex argued. I'll bet I could paint the same thing in an hour. Just like Dr. Seuss can write a book in an hour, I muttered. What's that got to do with it? Alex asked. Nothing. Forget it. It may look simple, she said, but I assure you it takes a lot of talent to paint that way. That night, I asked my parents if they knew that Frank Fargo was becoming famous. Yes, Dad said. Didn't you? No, nobody ever told me. Nobody ever told me anything. Mom and I are considering one of his paintings. It's in a gallery downtown. That white thing with the black circles and the red square? I asked. That's the one, Dad said. Do you like it? I don't know, I said. It sure does cost a lot. That's the problem, Dad said. But now that I'm going back to work, Mom began, looking up from her needlepoint. You're going where? I said. Back to work, she told me. I've been offered a part-time job by Dr. Monroe, a dentist in town. I thought you were sick of teeth, I said. I thought you wanted to study art history. Art history will have to wait, Mom said. For now, I've decided to be more practical. I looked at Dad. It's because of the book, I thought. That stupid book. You wouldn't have to be practical if Dad was president of the advertising agency, would you? Peter! Mom sounded angry. That's not a very thoughtful thing to say. I didn't care if she felt angry, because I did too. It's all right, Anne, Dad said. I think I know what Peter's getting at. He'd like me to be president of the agency, right, Peter? Well, sure. Who wouldn't want his father to be president? But I don't want to be president of the agency, Dad said. And you've got to try to understand that. I do want to write my book, though. And sometimes you've got to do what's really important to you, even if it's not practical. And I never said I was sick of teeth, Mom told me. I said I wanted to think about a change in careers, so I'm thinking it will be nice to have a job again. And if Daddy weren't at home writing his book, I wouldn't be able to leave Tootsie. So it's all working out. You see? No, I said. Everything is different. What do you mean? Dad asked. I don't know, just everything. Mom going back to work, you writing a book, us living here, Tootsie being born, Fudge going to kindergarten, me in 6th grade, everything is different. And you don't like it? Mom asked. Is that what you're trying to say? I don't know if I do or if I don't. Changes take some getting used to, Dad said, but in the long run, they're healthy. I didn't feel like listening anymore, so I said, can I call Jimmy tonight? Sure, Dad said, go ahead. Jimmy answered the phone. Hey, how's it going? He asked. I could tell that he was eating something. I don't know, I told him. Everything's different. I can't get used to it. Well, everything's similar here, except that you're gone. He must have swallowed because his voice cleared. He told me about school and about our friends and about the way Sheila Tubman is telling the whole world how much she misses me. And then he said, Peter, I have a confession to make. What's that? I've been using your rock. Not just sitting on it, but using it. You know what I mean? It's okay, I said. Don't worry about it. No kidding? No. You're a great friend. You know that? A really great friend. I have a confession to make too, I said. I've been using my Kreskin's crystal. Not just looking at it, but using it to get to sleep at night. Oh, he said. So I guess we're even, I said. I guess so. But he didn't sound as if I were the world's greatest friend anymore. I saw a painting by your father today, I told him, ready to change the subject. The white one with the black circles and the red square. Oh, that one, he said. My father painted that one right before my mother left for Vermont. One night they had this big fight and she threw red paint on the canvas. That's how the red square got there. And that's why it's called Anita's Anger. I didn't know what to say, because Jimmy never talks about his parents' divorce. So I changed the subject again. Do you know how much it costs? $2,500. Can you believe that anybody would pay that much for it? Showed how much you know about art, Peter. It sounded as if he had something in his mouth again. Pretzels, I thought. My father's last 3 paintings were sold for over $2,000 apiece. So before you go around opening your fat mouth, you should find out what you're talking about. And he hung up. Great. Just what I needed. My best friend hanging up on me. He'll probably call back in 10 minutes, I thought. But he didn't. I waited until Halloween afternoon to call him. It's me, I said. I'm sorry. About what? He asked. You know, about the price of your father's paintings. Oh, that. It just so happens that my parents are thinking about buying it. Which one? You know, Anita's Anger. Oh, that one. You should tell them to buy a different painting. Anita's Anger is a ripoff. Even my father says so. But you said, I know what I said. For a minute, neither one of us spoke. Finally, I asked, so what are you doing for Halloween? The usual, he said. Nothing. How about you? I'm taking fudge trick-or-treating. How'd you get roped into that? I volunteered. You volunteered? I think he was chewing gum this time. You weren't kidding when you said everything's changed. He was chewing gum. I could tell he was blowing a bubble, and I thought I heard the pop when the bubble broke. My mother and father were surprised when I told them I'd take Fudge trick-or-treating. But Alex said he'd come with me as long as he didn't have to walk next to Fudge, or hold his hand crossing streets, or anything gross like that. Besides, we planned to take him out early, move home, then go out by ourselves. And I knew how badly he wanted to go with us, and not with Mom or Dad, like all the kindergarten babies. Alex called for me at 6:30, and when I saw him, I couldn't believe it. He was wearing